What's the most "are you really that stupid" thing you've ever heard? I'm late, but my mother once years ago said cats are cold-blooded because they like to lay in the sun. We immediately said, "What? No, did you go to school?" 4 or 5 months ago she doubled down on this, stating the exact thing for the exact reason. I told her, "Are you cold-blooded because you like to sunbathe?" She still thinks cats are cold-blooded. Someone in my freshman year college class: "Professor, do you think dinosaurs existed?" "Professor, there seems to be a lot of evidence in favor of that conclusion." "What do you think?" "Someone, I don't think they did." "I mean, how do we know they were called dinosaurs? They could have been called anything." Guy in my high school honors classes said he thought dinosaurs were created by museums to boost profits. We once asked what he thought about fossil fuels. "They come from Muslims." Senior year we found out he was acting dumb cause it makes him cool. He never made lower than a 83 on any test or report card and was pretty popular, so I guess he was right. But he also thought "Waiting on the World to Change" was a Michael Jackson song, so there's that. In high school, when this girl found out prisoners used to be sent to Australia, she said "That's stupid, they could just swim back to Europe." In high school during global studies we were talking about South America and this chick asked which country was Africa. Even being told it's a separate continent and shown on a map, she continued to argue for 20 minutes saying it was a small country in South America. When I worked at a call center and someone said "Q for cucumber" to me. Ever hear of those shitty free online IQ tests? My friend took one of these, but the one she took was even worse than the regular ones. It was obviously not a valid IQ test and probably made by either a 12-year-old, a drunk person, or a drunk 12-year-old. Anyways, one question was "What is your favorite food out of these 4?" which was already a really bad question. I didn't think it would get worse until I saw "What do you think of the iPhone?" I don't remember the 4th option, but out of "I love the iPhone," it's good technology, and "What's an iPhone?" The smartest choice was "What's an iPhone?" Ridiculous, your IQ is higher by being ignorant of the world around you. Anyways, to the main point, she got a high score and put it on her resume. I unfortunately can't find the IQ test. TL. Doctor, girl takes shitty inaccurate online IQ test, gets a high score, puts it on her resume. From a customer: "How do you type a capital 4?" Girl I used to date was convinced that used cars came with insurance. We went out to look at cars for her one weekend, and on the way to the first lot, it came up in conversation. She absolutely did not believe me to the point that it was almost an argument. Salesman told her the same thing, so she demanded we go to another dealership. We visited 4 dealerships that day and all of them told her the same thing. Relationship didn't last much longer, but earlier this year she was pulled over and arrested for a litany of offenses including a DUI, but surprise, she had no auto insurance. I was driving with my mother on a pitch black night. My mother said the stars weren't out because there was no moon for them to reflect off of. Love you, Mom. I work at an animal shelter and a woman asked me if we had any dogs that didn't poop. I told her no, all dogs poop. So she asked about cats. I knew a guy in high school who thought, in Asian women only, that the urethra, vagina, and anus were arranged horizontally, something like leg, urethra, vagina, anus, leg. He was stunned when we went over female anatomy during our senior year. My sister's friend, who is 22, believes that why you fly in an airplane. Once you are in the air you just levitate there, and the earth rotates under you. When the plane is over the destination the plane lowers again and that's what happens. She wants to be a teacher. A woman once asked me if Antarctica was really hot because Mexico is south of us, and it's really hot, and other countries are south of us, and they're really hot too. This woman was 40 years old. My friend thought due to time zone differences between the US and the UK you could place a bet in the UK on an NFL game that had happened in the US and cheat the system because it hadn't happened yet in the UK. A previous coworker of mine thought that when looking at images of hurricanes, what she was seeing was the ocean swirling and not clouds. She had a bachelor's degree. I once heard a girl say that she doesn't believe in miscarriages. Edit. Another good one is that if she asks, is something gluten-free, she asks, is that gluten? Meaning the exact opposite. She also said she is going to become a Navy SEAL. She is not in the Navy. We were out of state and she said, oh wow, wild cows. They were not wild cows. I remember sitting in a World Civ class in high school and a girl in my class asked how people outside of the US lived since they were in a desert. The teacher tried to have her clarify which desert or deserts, to which the girl responded with, the one outside the US. She was convinced that every single nation outside of the US was comprised solely of deserts, and that any major city she had heard of, i.e. London, Paris, etc., were actually US cities. While in a really long car trip with my parents, we were discussing countries we'd like to visit. My mother said she'd like to visit Japan to see the Great Wall of China. My dad and I don't let her forget. My 22-year-old niece said she didn't want to see a female gynecologist because she would turn into a lesbian after the doctor examined her. There's always a 50% chance of rain. Think about it, it will either rain or it won't, so that's gotta always be 50%. Apostrophe. Someone once asked me and my twin sister if we don't mistake ourselves for the other one. I like to think she was joking, but I don't think she was. I've posted this before, but my grandmother was an identical twin. Her sister passed away before I was born. She didn't like to tell stories from when she was little, but she did tell me one mistaken identity story. She was in their bedroom one night when they were really young and saw her sister through the window. She started talking to her sister to see why she was outside at night. Then she realized it was her reflection. My grandmother had mistaken herself for her twin. During a color war trivia game at summer camp, we were asked to name places the Olympics has been held. Someone mentioned Athens and the girl next to me started to lose her mind laughing. I asked her why, and she responded, isn't Athens that place from Harry Potter? 1010 edit. I love that this turned into a Greek economy discussion thread. The internet works in mysterious ways. I had a customer yell at me that their donuts were supposed to be buy one get one free instead of half price. I had to explain how 12 plus 12 was 1. Never understood it and just sneered back, quote, whatever at me, and had me cancel their order. Someone in high school thought she couldn't get pregnant because she never did anal, only PIV6. When questioned about it, it made perfect sense to her because the vagina isn't where the babies come from. She thought women pooped out babies. My friend wrote on the title page of his high school essay, S.A. Yep. Sound it out, edit. Some background. It was in the hallway before class started that I noticed it in his hand. Probably stared for a good 10 seconds trying to figure out what it meant. Then it hit me. Like a good friend, I stayed silent and let him hand it in. Where's Saudi Arabia on this map? Map of Africa? Where's Jamaica then? Still the map of Africa? Okay, so there was this mother that I once met. I'll call her Car. So Karen is your typical MLM mom. She's in like 3 of them, including an essential oil one. One day, her son gets sick. Instead of getting cold medicine or whatever, she feeds him essential oils. Of course, he gets sicker, so the school he goes to treats him right. After hearing about this, his mom said, and I quote, "Don't give him that. The big pharma chemicals will make him immune to the essential oils." And they never think of the big essential oils company. One of the people high up in one of these companies nearly killed his kid with them. The kid got burned badly, his skin came off in sheets. So they stuck him in a tub, but figured since he wasn't in a whole lot of pain he'd be fine. Then they pulled him out, coated his burns in lavender oil, and prayed over him. They posted this live on Facebook and people were saying you have to take him to the ER. The kid ended up in shock. That's when they finally put him in the car. Some people turned CPS on them, thank goodness, because that was really ducked up. My wife was telling her sorority sisters about how she was allergic to wheat. One of the girls responded with, why don't you just eat white bread instead then, What do you think it's made of? White? When I was in high school history class, this dumb as a brick girl asked our teacher, who was from the south, but we weren't even remotely close to the South. Still no excuse if she'd ever owned a slave. This middle-aged woman I work with at a fast food place was drinking a glass of super sweet tea when these words came out of her mouth. My doctor said that I may have diabetes. I don't understand how. I never eat sugar. Phone customer, can I pay with cash over the phone? Me. Edit. This was more than 10 years ago, before cryptocurrency existed. I was working at a call center, making reservations for a dinner and show type place. If they reserved online or over the phone, they had to prepay. I asked this customer if I heard them correctly, and she varied that yes, she would like to pay with cash over the phone. There was nothing but seriousness in her tone. I informed her she could pay with cash at the box office. However, over the phone I could only accept a credit card. I did not laugh at her or make her feel stupid, but inside I was dying. World history class in high school. This girl really asked how we won the American Revolution when the Germans had airplanes. I had to remember to breathe. In my communications class in high school, it came to my teacher's attention that a few people in the class, which had about 15 students, didn't have a basic grasp of world geography, so he pulled up an interactive world map on his computer and connected it to the projector. Okay, so this is where we are. This is, class responds with North America okay, and down here, cursor is hovering over South America. Two girls expressed confusion over what it was, so he told them it was South America. Next, he moved the cursor over Africa, and both of these girls, in unison, with full confidence blurted out East America. Later in the lesson one of the girls said that she thought North Korea was in the center of the US, and that's why we have so many problems with them. My main concern was that I was in the same school district as them for all 12 years, and I wondered how the same system that worked for me had completely failed to work for them. Guy at my high school asked a biology teacher if humans photosynthesize. When told that we don't, he responded, "But how come, when I go in the sun my skin turns brown?" He was 18. During my senior seminar for an anthropology degree, a fellow student asked if married people started to look like each other as they grew old together because the genetic material they were exchanging during sex was becoming part of the other person's genome. In Wales, we get the option to use an ATM machine in either Welsh or English. Myself, a Welsh friend and an English friend were at an ATM. My English friend asked my Welsh friend why he always used the ATM in Welsh. His response was, less people can understand Welsh, so less people can read my PIN number. Edit, till it seems like only the Welsh say ATM machine and PIN number. And yes, I'm an idiot for saying less rather than fewer, so sue me. Watching Dynasties, British Attenborough documentary featuring chimps. Attenborough introduces the alpha male chimp on screen as David. Friend asks how they know he's called David. Edit, thank you kind stranger. My first gold. I'd like to dedicate this shiny nugget to David. R.I.P. my dude, you will never know how much you meant to us. David the chimp, not David Attenborough. Dynasties is on in the UK on BBC Sunday evenings, where Attenborough truly belongs. The natural order of things. Americans don't know when you can see it, but I assume if you have a VPN you can watch it via the BBC iPlayer website. A few years ago I was traveling in Kenya and a few of us shelled out for a safari. Our guide was great, and at one point said all the names for the animals in Swahili. Simba is lion, for example. An American then asked, did you always call them that, or did you decide to change it after The Lion King came out? I really wanted to apologize to the tour guide in that moment, who had to respond with respect to that guy. Edit, yes, I'm sure he wasn't joking. I was explaining to my mother-in-law that the reason why my hubby and I were having fertility issues was that I don't ovulate properly, aka don't release an egg. She thought about it for a moment and asked with all seriousness why we couldn't just use one of my husband's eggs. I just looked at my husband trying not to laugh and stated that only women have eggs and men have sperm. That is pretty basic biology. I was probably 8 or 9 at the time. It was summertime and I was bitching about the heat. Mom begins to tell me when she was a kid, on hot nights, they would sleep underneath their beds, on the cooler floor. Until that time she got bitten on the foot by a brown recluse spider. My first question, did you die? My family and I were watching a program on TLC about cavemen. There were actors dressed up like cavemen, doing cavemen things, as the narrator explained the scientific theory around what they thought their lives were like. My sister was just in awe watching this, mouth slightly open, eyes open wide. During a commercial break she asked the room, how did they get the cameras back there? We will never let her forget that she said that. Edit, here's some common answers for questions people have asked. No, she was not high. She was about 16 when she said this. The moment she said it, she knew she said something stupid. Tried to backpedal, but the damage was already done. Yes, back a long time ago TLC actually did have educational programming. I have no idea what documentary it was. I think I'll stop taking the pill. I think I'm infertile anyway and allergic to sperm. What makes you think that? After 6 the sperm drips out of my vagina. Girl had obviously never heard of gravity. A work email. Me to my program manager. I'm the project manager. Regarding time off over the upcoming holiday season, I'm going to take vacation from to. I have recorded this in the team calendar. Link. There will be no impact to our delivery timeline because mitigating reasons listed. Program manager, please record your vacation in the team calendar. Also, will there be any impact on delivery timeline? Edit. My reply was done in no, because apparently her attention span was 5 words tops. I've shared this before, but it remains. Well, you'll see. The following exchange is offered verbatim, or as near to it as I can remember. That suit would look great on you. Me, checking the price. Too bad I don't have $900. Just use your credit card. Me, I still wouldn't have $900. What are you talking about? Me, I try to pay off my balance in full when I use my credit card. That's more than I can afford right now. Irritated. That makes 0 sense. Nobody pays for credit cards. They give them to you. Me, not the card, the balance. The bill. What bill? Me. The credit card bill? The one you have to pay every month? No, you don't. Me. Okay, well, I guess you can make minimum payments, but... Interrupting. What are you talking about? You are making 0 sense. If you don't like the suit, just say so. Me, I do like the suit, I just can't afford it. Using my credit card wouldn't magically make it, so I wouldn't have to pay. You don't pay for credit cards. Got, what is wrong with you? Me, wait. Do you mean that you've never paid your credit card bill? There's no such thing. Credit cards are, so you don't have to pay. It eventually came to light that the young woman had been given her credit card by her parents, who paid the balance for her whenever they received a bill. This revelation only occurred after I'd been accused of trying to make her feel guilty for buying sweet shop clothing, though I never did figure out where that connection occurred. TL. Doctor, credit cards are not the equivalent of free money.